So today we're looking at putting very simple titles in Premiere, all within Premiere. We're not going into After Effects, we're not even going into Photoshop. This is all going to be very, very basic bottom thirds that are common in a lot of productions just within Premiere. So starting off, let's just go ahead to the Type tool and click somewhere in the frame. This is just a shot from my hotel room in Vegas at NAB. Let's see. Why not? Now, as far as typography goes, see what other people are doing. Typically, it's the same font for both the name as well as the title. If you do that, if you do a title as well, sometimes it's a mix of all caps and all lowercase or proper, like I have Chris Bryant, and then the title is all caps. Maybe it's a different weight. So, for example, this might be bold, or it might be unbold but italic, but a lot smaller. So play with it and kind of get it how you like it. And if there's multiple titles in the same project, make sure you spend the time to make sure this is perfect and exactly how you want it so it stays consistent. I'm talking font size, and the actual, the way you have it here. Now, here there's a good amount of contrast between the text and the background, but let's say you wanted black text. Then we just highlight all of it, go to Fill, black, or you can use the hex code here and really dial it in, or the RGB values, but we're just going to go black. Obviously, you can't see what's happening here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a white background just over this part here. Here's how to do that. Let's grab the graphic, that's a text, move it up a layer. Now, here in the project panel, go down here to New Item, and you want Color Matte. Now, if you wanted a black background, let's say it was the opposite thing where it was white, but there's a very bright background, you just go to here, it says Black Video, and it'll create a black video matte. So what we need is white, so go to Color Matte, say OK, and then bring it all the way down to the lower left, just to make sure your hex codes are all Fs. That means it is absolutely pure white. Of course, if you have branding, if you're doing something and you want the color to be very specific, go ahead and enter that code here, whether it's the RGB values or the hex code, hit OK. Now, I'm very particular as far as my organization here, so I will write white, make sure that's there. So now, at a glance, I can see my project panel, white. Bring that over. By default, Premiere makes this 5 seconds, but I think that's fine. Obviously here,
Las Vegas, I'm here at the Bellagio filming.
And now, obviously, that's a problem. Click on the white matte, go to the Effects panel, and type in the search field crop. There it is. Bring that down to the white matte. And now we're going to go to the Effect Controls panel and take a look at the crop. What we want to do is, obviously, the top, we got to slice a whole lot of that off. Go to the bottom. And then the right, in this case. And I mean, you can make it kind of like a stripe, that if that's the style you're going for, then you're done. Just make sure the top and bottom are the crop that you want. But I'm going to make it kind of like a tab coming in off the side. And I kind of want it to keep going. I mean, you could do this if you wanted to. But in this particular case, I'd like to have it kind of go off the side. And we can also play with the opacity a bit, so that way it's got a little bit of stuff going on here, so maybe 65%. So you can kind of see what's going on in the background. It still creates a heck of a lot of contrast here, so you're easily able to see it.
From Las Vegas, I'm here at the Bellagio filming a conference.
So obviously this is it's a kind of a jump cut situation. So if you want, you can highlight both the graphic and the white and hit Control D or Command D on a Mac, and that will automatically create a cross dissolve at the beginning and end of the clip. So let's take a look at that.
Las Vegas, I'm here at the Bellagio filming a conference this past weekend. Today is.
Okay, so this is raw footage, so I don't know if I'm making mistakes on this or not, but just want to give some kind of an example. That's pretty much it as far as, depending on the background, you don't need to have that white, or you can move this around wherever you want. If you want it up here just as a stylistic choice, you can do that too. And of course, this cross dissolve works the same exact way. And like I said, before you move on to other bottom thirds, if you're interviewing 2, 3, 4 people in the video and you're going to have them all have bottom thirds, technically this is a bottom third even though it's in the top third, but make sure the font and the weight and everything, you're totally happy with it before you go and move on to the other ones, because if you do, then you realize later on, oh, you know what, I think this should be italic and bold. Yeah, I really like how that looks better, and now you got to move it, and now you got to do it for every single other bottom third and make sure that it's perfectly the same. Now, let's say you wanted to add a little bit of motion to it. Let's get a little bit more complicated. let's say you want to have it kind of slide in from the side. We're going to remove this cross dissolve here, how it started. So
Vegas, I'm here at the Bellagio.
let's say you want it to end here. So you wanted to have it slide in. Let's mute this guy here. Let's say you want to have it slide in and stop here. We're going here to motion to click the toggle animation on and create a keyframe. And that's where it's going to end. And let's say the very, very first frame, that's where we want it to be. Create a new keyframe. Just make sure that's all the way to the side. Now, what we're going to do is position here. We're going to grab this. Now, either you can type it in manually. I like to drag it so it's very visual. Let's say right about there. Perfect. So now the very first frame is here. I'll hit play. And it'll slide in. Great. Now we're going to do the same exact thing for the white. How I'm going to do that is I still have graphic selected, the actual text. I will say next, for position, twirl that down, and it says go to next keyframe. So I'm making sure I'm exactly on that end keyframe for the text. I will carefully click on the white matte and create a keyframe for that. That's the end position. Now the end position for the white matte as well as the graphic is exactly to the frame the same. Now click the go to previous keyframe. There's only two, so it brings you back to the very first frame. See where it's off screen, that's fine. Again, carefully click on the white matte, and now you have this selected, and we're going to create a keyframe. You can either click it and then move the position, or you can just move the position and it automatically creates a keyframe. I just do that just to save a little bit of time, and I have it until it just is off the frame. There we go, looks good. Now let's hit play. All right, here is something that separates the amateurs from the professionals, something very simple, but a lot of people don't do. So here's what happens. It comes in and then it just clicks. It just stops. So it's going full speed and then it just stops moving. Here's how to do this. Click on the graphic. See that end keyframe? Click it, right click, and we want to select ease in. And let's go to the white and do the same exact thing. Right click it, ease in. Now let's watch it. Did you notice that? Let's watch it again. What it does is instead of just clicking and just stopping like it hit a brick wall, it slows to a stop. So yeah, that is how you create basic titles, bottom thirds, directly within Premiere. I will have a sequel to this video to kind of bring it up a notch, perhaps adding a logo in, having that motion sync, and maybe do some other fancier transitions. But this is a great 101 course for creating titles within Premiere. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more tutorials. That is it. Have a great rest of your day, and good luck on your project.